Hello, welcome to UK GK TV. I'm Bill Voice.
I'm Dave Nicholson.
Yeah.
Today we're going to fetch you, it's a little bit of an impromptu one this week because Bill went down to the Ipms Telford and we thought while it's fresh in his mind we'd chat about the shows. Yeah. He seemed to enjoy it and we'll give you a bit of a comparison of how it was because it's probably the biggest kit show, would you say, in Europe or UK?
It's got to be Europe, it's vast.
Massive, isn't it? So Bill...
That's my first impression of it was, first of all, irritation because I got there sort of half an hour after it started and it took me about an hour to park. But once I'd parked, I walked across and I went in. It was a brilliant venue. The venue's massive. It is like, it's almost akin to the NEC, isn't it? It's not quite as big as the NEC, but it's got that same sort of feel about it.
It's huge. It's like
it's huge.
The aircraft hangars.
I think they're old aircraft hangars or some sort of old factory. The concrete floors, sort of metal sides. It's like it's
big open. It's open.
Big open. Yeah. There's 3 main halls there, and I was surprised because when I went in, I looked at the main hall and I thought, God, this is big. And then I realised there was 2 more.
There's 2 more.
There's 2 more. So, and I thought, I'll go and see Dave straight away. And it took me 20 minutes being mildly distracted to get through one hall.
To us. And we were in all 2.
You were in the hall 2.
Yeah,
and then another, when I said hello to Dave and I went on a walkabout,
I never seen
took me
him.
another.
He's just gone.
I was lost.
And he was so excited, weren't you?
I was excited because it wasn't just the fact that there was millions and millions and millions of model kits, and there's the stuff we normally obsess with, like there's horror and stuff like that, traders and displays.
Yeah.
But it was mostly military stuff.
There was a lot of materials as well.
Yeah, lots of modelling materials like accessories and scenics and stuff like that. And adhesives and books and paints.
Yeah.
So there was like something for everybody. And after I'd been through and I'd walked around and got totally awestruck by this, I'm looking at these kits. These guys are military modellers. Their accuracy is like legendary.
It's a different level, isn't it?
Different level. I mean, these are miniature worlds that they were producing.
Yeah.
There was like Normandy beachheads. There was Mulberry Harbour. There was Lancasters dropping bouncing bombs. In such microscopic detail that you could imagine yourself in the scenes, and the realism and the paint effects were just outstanding. It was Hollywood level detail that you could easily see in a movie. These models would make scenics for movies, wouldn't they? They're that good.
Yeah, some of them are fantastic, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, it does have quite a good sci-fi and fantasy sort of proportion to it.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, but 80, would you say, % military?
80% military, but the 20% that wasn't military was incredibly interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there was a guy there with a lighting system that you could light your starship up with.
Yeah.
And it was a modular one, and he does you a schematic and any of the AMT kits and stuff that you bought.
Yeah.
Brilliant. There was one there that was making. They were figures. They were sci-fi figures, things like Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, and there were various sizes figures for these that you could use in your dioramas.
That's it, yeah.
They kind of, your Colonial Vipers and your X-Wings, but they also had things there which like you wouldn't normally expect, like big sort of 3D printed kits that were like so big, you struggle to lift them. Yeah, studio size stuff. And they had, and there was a couple of stalls there. One was selling scenics, and that you could actually buy like a foot square of desert in any scale you wanted. So it would cut down the time of making the model. I mean, to me, that's a little bit like sucking a toffee with a wrapper on.
Yeah.
I'd rather do it myself.
Yeah.
But if you were doing like a display model for like a museum or something, this would be the stuff that you'd be using.
Yeah, there was. I mean, so for us to do that show, we accept that we're like the 20% weirdos.
Yeah.
We're the weirdos. You could see the guys. You could see the guys walking towards us. It was so bizarre. I mean, Bill said earlier about that sort of little video that's on Facebook where there's this little kid walks and he goes ooh, and then he turns
straight round. Yeah, that was what it was like.
Majority of them. Majority of the guys that attend that are military.
But I was there, you see, for the 20%. So there was like vintage kit dealers along the edges. Tony James, you tried to sell me a £350 fighting skeleton, but I didn't want a divorce, so I didn't buy it. But There was stuff in there. There was Lindbergh kits, there was Aurora kits, there was the
There was
new
some resin,
monster scenes
there
and
was some
stuff.
future stuff.
Yeah.
If you go into the show, what I would suggest, UKGK, majority of our viewers, I would suggest it's an IPMS. It's IPMS Telford, so it's probably the biggest one in Europe. It dwarfs any show that I attend. So I've been to Chile, I've been to Wonderfest, I've not been Jersey Fest. I'd like to go. UKGK, all them sort of shows. It dwarfs it. It just makes it look really small, but the audience are there for models. So a modelling event, it's worth going for. You know, it's a great show, and we always do really well, which is pretty well. It's bloody cold. Don't get me wrong.
It is cold. It's cold in that hangar.
It's cold. It's very cold. So
you need a coffee.
Make sure you've
got a jumper on.
Make sure you've got a jumper on. But I just wanted to share Bill's response, because when he came to me, he was like a kid in a sweet shop. He was like, "Dave, it's fantastic," and I'm like, "Oh," because I'm kind of numb to it now because I've done it a few years. It gets attended really well, and it's a special shout out to the guys that run it, because they're so good. I mean, the guy that looks after us, Andy, phenomenal. Apart from being a Sheffield Wednesday supporter, he's a fantastic guy. There's no trouble setting up. You're in.
I think what if you ever get worried that the hobby is dying,
it's not.
It's not. There's so much there, and so many different levels of sort of interest and interests in different things. You've got teenagers there, you've got young kids there, you've got adults there, you've got females there even, and you've got old geezers like me and Dave and loads of them. I said if you wanted to wipe out the whole working population of Britain, that would be the way to do it. Introduce some sort of disease into the burgers and then kill us all.
Well, I think they already have.
I think they have. And whilst I'm in it, I wanted to give a shout out to the people at the Toby Carvery in Telford, because they gave me a fantastic meal on the way home and they were really helpful. I was absolutely cream cracker driving home. I was like overwhelmed. And I just stopped off for a toilet break, but I ended up buying a meal because the woman on the counter was giving me the eye. So I bought a meal, and it was a wonderful roast dinner.
In a bag?
It was in a rolled up Yorkshire pudding, which I've had before, but this was really good. So the sort of like the meeting of the roast dinner, which, as you know from previous videos, I'm not overly fond of, but having a roast dinner in a rolled up Yorkshire pudding, I think I might go with that again one day. Sexy time. I think we could do that with turkey.
Yeah, we should. Yeah. I'll tell you one thing that must be mentioned, and this is a thing that's very close to me and Bill's heart. The one thing that sticks out at that show that's so scary, 11 o'clock.
That was moving. That was
11 o'clock. The place just
overwhelmed.
The place was it's scary because. For all you guys abroad, we celebrate all the fallen soldiers on, was it
11th hour, the 11th day.
And at 11 o'clock on the 11th, which was Saturday this year. You're talking about a bustling hall with thousands of people, and within seconds that bugle goes.
It was solid quiet.
Deadly quiet.
In fact, it's quieter than I've ever seen anything quiet, really. Even I would say it was quieter than the actual parade itself in London.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a lot of people there who like are really into their military, and you got a lot of ex-soldiers and stuff there, and you had help for heroes and stuff there.
Absolutely brilliant.
The amount of respect shown was great. Unbelievable.
Well done, lads. That sort of, it's scary. It's so quiet. I mean, we were there serving, and then all of a sudden that bugle goes, and it's like
a curtain coming down. Right?
It's terrible. Well, it's scary. It's terrifyingly scary.
Yes, it is.
I mean,
it's awesome in the true sense of the word. It was awe. You felt awe and respect.
That makes you proud to be British.
Yeah, it does make you proud.
Really, really proud. And fair play, guys. The amount of poppies that people were doing there, the amount of stuff, the respect that was on display there. Fair play to everybody that did that at Telford.
And if you ever get sort of disenchanted with like the quality of stuff in this country, and you think, oh, that's not what it was. Go to this place, look at the amount of time and effort, absolute skill, genius, focus and enjoyment and interest in these people doing this hobby, selling stuff and also making it. You look at the club stuff there, we have a country full of fantastic people. It's easy to judge the place by the behaviour of just a few people, but there's actually thousands. While some people are getting drunk and kicking off in the middle of town, there's thousands of people sitting in their hobby room or in the kitchen building super detailed scale reproductions of military vehicles and spending their time and money doing something which is really creative. And historically, it's amazing because the kids that were there, I was watching these little kids. There was this beautiful reproduction of a Normandy village which was like under attack. There was Germans in some houses, Americans in some houses, and there's a little kid looking at this, and his granddad was standing there explaining exactly what was going on. So they were getting a fantastic
it's really
sense
worth it, lad. If you're about over here, guys from abroad, check it out. Telford.
Oh yeah,
I think it's always around Commemorative Sunday.
Yeah.
It's always around that Sunday. So try and get your diaries free. Like I say, it's 20%
military.
UK stuff and 80% military. Would you say a lot of vehicles? Would you say
lots of vehicles and aircraft?
Planes?
I'd say there's a big representation of military vehicles there, tanks, tractors, stuff like that, and the rest of it's planes to an extent. But I would think this year there was probably I got the sense there was a lot of vehicle models there, wasn't a lot of what we call AFVs, wasn't there? Fighting vehicles.
How much was it to get in, Bill?
Well, my ticket cost about 20 quid.
Was it worth the money?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, well, it's 20 quid for a whole day. And to be honest with you, I went home because I was tired. I didn't go home because I'd seen it all. I mean, you can come and go as well. Obviously, you just can come and go. You got your ticket. You can come and go. You can go and have a meal in town and then come back if you want to do in the afternoon. But you know what? I saw people, and this is the pull of it. I got there half an hour after it started, and I was parking my car, and it took me a while to park my car. But when I was on my way in, let's say maybe an hour and a half into the show, there were people already coming out, bagged up with like tons of stuff. Now, so those people had paid 20 quid to go in there to buy, and they came out. They were coming out with the biggest, cheesiest
they love it.
grins on their faces.
They love it.
So 20 quid. I mean, come on, 20 quid.
20 quid's not bad.
I mean, you're going to see a museum because what you can, if you just took the club tables, you could spend all day just looking at the stuff at the club tables. And I learned so much by saying, because I'm not a painter, as you know, I'm an emerging painter, and I'm doing this Vulcan bomber, and the amount of information I got and the amount of Vulcan bombers I saw, got to photograph and rip off, was brilliant. And these guys were saying, well, what you do, and this guy was telling me how to enhance my panel lines. Now, to be honest with you, I've read it in a book and it made no sense to me.
What you do in the bedroom, Bill's up to you.
Enhance your panel lines, ladies. Hey, but seriously, it was like he said, "No, what I do is this," and then he taught me through it. And even though I'd read it in a book, being a kinesthetic learner like I am, I learn through doing. Having someone tell me it and then demonstrate it physically, actually demonstrate it, that was worth. I could have spent 20 quid on the book and got nothing out of it. Brilliant. But I spent 20 quid to get in and somebody showed me how to do it. And I think that was it. And the people are only too willing to talk. They want to talk about the hobby, don't they?
They do. I mean, they're very fanatical about it. I mean, when we go, we're classed as a bit of an oddity because we do the horror sci-fi movie stuff. But they do generally want to come and talk to you, and they do generally want to think, oh, what's that? And we have converted a few of them. We're getting there slowly. They're starting to creep into the table. Competition level was a different level. I was looking
at the dinosaur in the competition level, and it was just a straight build from a kit. But you know what? It was unbelievably good.
Some of the stuff is fantastic.
Some of the stuff fantastic.
And we did mention earlier one of the founder members, or one of the founders of the hobby, who had a massive shop in Lavender Hill, has a table there. Every year I've been going, he's there every year. Tony James used to be Comet Miniatures. I'm sure it's sort of timeless hobbies now. That guy's a character. I'll tell you more about him when we talk in other videos. But he was there, he's lucky to get away with his wallet.
I have to say, I was there. I had my hand on the credit card, and I was looking at that Harryhausen skeleton set, thinking, maybe I could sneak it in. Maybe I could leave it in the boot for a couple of days.
You've dodged a bullet there, man. How he's escaped not
I did. I had my 350 quid, and I had my hand. I was like this. I could feel my hand like the thing from the Addams Family, like disembodied hand going for me.
Tony
wallet.
James is just. I don't know how you get away with it. I mean, I think I've only ever got away with him giving me money about 4 times. Normally, I'm giving him money, and he's a character. You imagine Del Boy for our UK viewers and Boise, put them together. That's it.
I have to say though, and to be fair to him, I looked at a couple of kits on his store. and I went to other stalls and saw the
He
same
was quite
kit,
reasonable,
and he was very reasonably priced, and
Yeah.
it was an honest. And I thought, you know, if I'd have bought, there was some Monster Scenes kits there that have just been released, some new Monster Scenes kits, which are quite big on the sort of the old Aurora sort of hobby. And I thought, I looked at the price of it, and I thought that's actually very reasonable, because if I bought that from America, which is where I'd have to buy it, not only would I be paying almost the same price, I'd also be hammered for postage, and I'd also be hammered by customs, because they'd want to add another 10%.
Yeah.
So when you look at the prices, particularly on vintage kits or American, what I see is special interest kits, when you look at the price, you might think, that sounds like a lot of money, but actually you could probably get it cheaper cost elsewhere. But once you've added all the bits and bobs to it, you're thinking, actually, I've actually spent more. I spent £10 more than if I just bought it.
Yeah,
you know.
We basically spent quite a bit of time talking to two of Tony's helpers. John, big shout out to John and Carly. Lovely. They come all the way from the United States to help Tony. Lovely people, fantastic. Carly never stopped laughing. John, fantastic guys. Big shout out to you guys. Hope you're watching this, which I'm sure you are. But they were lovely company. I could talk to them for hours. So it was all in all, it was an enjoyable weekend. But you did extremely well to
get away with it. Fair enough, then.
We hope you're all doing very well.
Yep.
What we're going to do is we're going to do a few little bits and pieces about stuff later, about products from the show, etc. And then we're going to do a review of some new stuff, and we're going to do an out of the box with Bill. We are going to do part 2 of the Halloween. It's just Bill's been on his jollies.
Yeah.
Was it a good holiday?
I loved holiday. Lovely holiday, mate. It was warm and the food was great.
It's
and now
back
it's back to
the
the rain.
It's back to the cold in the good.
Yeah, well, I'm wearing my gilet, mate. It's because of my bones, my old bones.
Yeah, we're getting
it's gilet weather, mate.
We're getting old about that. We did have a chat earlier about our experiences at the show about being cold, but unfortunately we can't do that. So we're not going to put that story on. It's just even for me, it's a little bit too far.
Yeah, we have a story. If you bump into us at a later date, we can tell you what the story about being cold
we
is.
We can't put that on YouTube. That story.
It's to do with things shrinking, isn't it?
Yeah, we're not going to go there with that one. But we hope you enjoyed the video. Yeah. Well, like I say, we are going to be doing now. All the shows are out of the way. Me and Bill are going to be doing more bits and pieces. We're going to do some product reviews. We've got a more in-depth video regarding the Halloween one to come. We hope you're all doing fantastically well, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, mate. Well, this is a little bit of a product review, and I'm very interested in this. This is what I would call a pull saw. In other words, it's a saw that cuts on the backstroke.
That's right.
When you pull it back, it's a little bit like a coping saw. It pulls on the back, and you steer it on the front stroke.
That's it.
This is a particularly good one, though, isn't it? It's called a shark saw. It's made in Japan. Now, anybody that knows anything about blades, well, particularly in our hobby, as soon as you talk about Japan, you think it's samurai, aren't you? You're thinking samurais, you're thinking ninjas, you're thinking bladed weapons. Yeah. Their saws are as good as their swords. It's that simple. And with something like this pull saw is ideally suited for cutting through plastics, particularly resins.
It's
dense
brilliant.
plastics.
Absolutely, that's all we use now.
And if you look at the way the teeth are arranged, you can see the specific pattern of the teeth. They're slightly sort of on the back foot because you're pulling on them, but they've got some good clear teeth with plenty of distance in between them. So when you're cutting through the resin, the saw blade doesn't get bunged up. It doesn't start skidding about. It clears all the material out straight away.
That's it.
So you're getting a really nice cut. And the other problem with cutting plastics, particularly with a metal blade, is that there's always a bit of friction. And the problem is with that friction, it kind of polishes the surface of the plastic, and the saw skids around on top of it. I mean, anybody who's tried to cut it with an Abra file or anything like that will know. But with something like this is deliberately set up to cut plastics. The characteristics of the plastics are taken into account. So I would suggest that this one, because it's Japanese made, is not going to be a cheap one. But with blades, you get what you pay for, don't you?
Exactly. I mean, they vary from 10 to 45. Yeah. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, once you've had one of these, you won't go back to cutting your resin. Now, I know most of you guys get your kits and they're already pre-assembled, etc., pre-cleaned, like we tend to do for people, but strongly recommend these guys. These guys, we've got through that many, we've wore them out. When we're cutting the sprues off for you, this is what we use. But one thing, be careful, because they are mega sharp.
Yeah, it's very easy. My rule as a technology teacher is always keep your fingers and your hands behind the blade.
Yeah.
What you
Super
don't,
sharp,
it's
yeah.
very easy when you're holding something to rub these
mate,
across the top of your knuckles.
Yeah, the amount
I mean,
of times.
yeah. So make sure you've got clearance because it's a
Or
Japanese
gloves.
saw, or gloves. If you get a good pair of riggers gloves,
Yeah, they're the ones.
The riggers gloves are the ones that I would use, or a pair of expensive gardening gloves. But this is lovely. I mean, looking at it, I can see by the nature of the surface there. I can see by the pattern on the sort of milling on the surface and stuff, and the temper of the blades. The teeth itself are highly tempered. So even though the blade is slightly flexible, these tempered teeth are actually heated to a high temperature. It makes them a bit more brittle, but it makes them super sharp.
Also,
Yeah.
you can change the blade. All you do with changing the blade is just tap the blade that way. Again, as you're putting if you look very, very closely there, the blade goes that way and it kind of hooks around here. So there's a hook on the blade. So all you do is hook it round the piece there, tap it in. Just be careful with that, guys, if you get one, because it is super sharp. And I think you can probably see there the make of it. It like you say, this thing will take your fingers off if you're not careful.
I mean, you could actually buy these things for cutting wood, actually. Japanese saws are legendary.
Yeah.
They're lovely. They're like samurai swords. You might pay an awful lot of money for them, but they stay sharp forever. And the convenience of having that, and you don't have to use an Allen key or anything to get it out. You just tap it and out it clicks. And
just be careful with them, guys.
Well, just be careful with it.
Just be careful.
So that's our first product we're looking at. We've got another one to look at, haven't we?
We have. I'm not familiar with these, but you working in a school might be familiar. Does anybody know what these are? The kids have them as poppers. I don't know.
Yeah,
what's that all about?
it's a kind of like it's what we call fidget toys
That's
nowadays.
fidget
toys, and you give a kid a bit of bubble wrap, and she'll spend 20 minutes popping the little bubbles quite happily. So if you want to keep them quiet, you don't want to fuss, give them all a piece of bubble wrap and off they go, pop, pop, pop.
So this is basic. This actually is designed.
Yeah.
To keep people. If you look very carefully, it's designed to keep people. You pop them in. I mean, we've all done it with bubble wrap.
Yeah.
Now, as you notice, we're being inclusive.
It's a rainbow coloured one.
Rainbow coloured one.
It's
okay, fair enough.
So anyone can use this. You don't have to feel like your gender is being singled out when you use this rainbow one, because it's the rainbow and it represents everybody.
Everybody,
doesn't it?
But anyway, back to what it's about. So this is designed for keeping kids occupied. Weird, but there you go. That's what it is. Do you know what those guys use it for at this workshop? Simple. We're all lazy. We put our paints in there. So you put your little bit of paint in. So if you've got your blacks, your whites, your reds, your yellows, you put your paint in when you're mixing it. Little Q drops in there. Paint away. End of the day. Let it dry.
Pop it out. Because it's silicone.
Simple.
Virtually nothing sticks to silicone.
Simple.
So yeah, it's just pop out the dry paint, and it means you don't have to wash it basically.
Now this one I'm pretty sure was supplied to us by Mike Parker, but so I believe these are available in that well-known designer outlet, Primark.
There you go.
A quid. Pound. That's all.
Well worth it. And the other thing is, of course, with them being that shape, they tessellate nicely. So if you're using a bigger range of colours or you're just using it for one set of tones, you can put them on the table. They bump up against each other. They make a nice big mat. It means that you don't waste space as well. So the fact that they tessellate makes it good.
You can actually get these, like I said, from places like Primark. You can get them from online. They're not expensive. A couple of quid, 3 quid, 4 quid. Safe cleaning everything. All you do, pop it out. A simple.
I would think that you can probably get an official version of this online somewhere, which is actually down as a palette, which would probably be about 20 times as much.
Yeah.
So basically, do a little bit of a net search for that. If you put fidget toy or fidget popper, it should come up.
And the guys at the workshop use these all the time. What we're going to do is we're going to feature a few tips and tricks and a few products that we're going to do, but we thought we'd share these two because it's simple. I mean, I would have never thought about this, but there you go, guys. I mean, saves cleaning your palette out, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well done.
There you go. Till the next time. Speak to you soon.
Take care. Okay. One of the things that I get to do, which I absolutely love, is I get to see stuff before it actually gets moulded, which means I get to see the original actual sculpture. And anybody that's seen my interviews with him will know I'm a big fan of Paul Fay. I really respect this guy's work because, my stuff pales into insignificance in comparison to Paul's, but you know what? I'm happy because he's such a great guy, such a nice guy, and he's the amount of precision that's in his work is truly incredible. Now, this is, as you can see, it's Roddy McDowall from one of the Planet of the Apes films, and he's in a spacesuit. I'm thinking Escape from the Planet of the Apes, which James just indicated to me is true. Escape from the Planet of the Apes, I think, is the third or fourth in the original series.
It's the last one.
It's when he escapes the planet in the old spaceship, lands on Earth, and basically him and his wife become celebrities for a while, but soon the FBI or CIA start to worry that this guy's going to tell people the future of the planet, so they hunt him down and eventually he dies, but a baby is left, which gets into a circus at the end. Great film, really good film. Like most Apes films, it's got like it's a metaphor for the social problems of the day, things like equality and discrimination and stuff like that. But you can see them as just sci-fi films, or you can see them as allegorical tales. This is obviously Caesar in a spacesuit, and as you can see, absolutely beautiful 1970s spacesuit. Lovely details on here. Got the lace-up sections for the sort of the pressurised part of the suit. I'm looking at the zip. I just can't believe how unbelievably precise Paul's work is. Every single tooth on that zip is done. You've got this beautiful, properly circular collar on the top. If I just hold that, I've got to be careful with it because this is the original monster clay, and as is always the case with Paul's work, you've got to appreciate that the detail on the beard. The fur is incredible. Looking at it, squinting at the face on the ape, if you squint at something, it usually makes it so you can see the light and dark areas a lot more clearly than you can when you're just basically looking at it. It kind of emphasises the features on the face. There's a slight smile on that mask. You can see, like the original Roddy McDowall mask. It's always that lovely little turned up corner there. That little bit of detail that, unless you're really looking at the picture and you really know your stuff, you'd miss that. Absolutely. And the Apes movies originally were so good. When you first saw these Apes movies, you were astounded by the makeup, because at the time the prosthetics were cutting edge. Maybe not so much now, but it's still possible to suspend your disbelief. And this is a great sculpture because you can tell it's Roddy McDowall under the makeup, but the makeup still looks like makeup but still looks like an ape. I don't know if I can explain it to you. This is so perfect. You could be looking at somebody from the film, and anybody my age will also remember that not just was Roddy McDowall in most of the movies as Caesar, he was also in the Saturday afternoon half-hour series, because Planet of the Apes was a series too. The difference being that the humans in the series sadly talked. The humans in the movies didn't say a word, which was always good, because all you had to listen to was the monkeys, right, or the apes. So this is it. But over on the table there, we've got a lovely bit of memorabilia. So anybody who's into the apes in any way will know of these kits. I'm just going to put this original down because it's too precious to drop. But I just want you to look at this, because you know me, I love a dinosaur, but I love an injection moulded vintage kit as well. I'm going to sit back to show you this. Look at this, everybody. I can feel myself salivating when I look at this, because not only is this an original Aurora kit, it's still in its box, and it's still got most of its plastic wrapper on. I come in here most weeks and look up at this in a very admiring way, and you see, I'm not very good with my kits. I have to take the cellophane off and look inside. So most of my kits, even the vintage ones, I've taken the cellophane off. I imagine I could buy a cellophane wrapping machine and re-cellophane them, but look at this. This is absolute vintage in absolute mint condition, and it's a Planet of the Apes compendium kit. All these were available individually with their little modular bases of various types. But what Aurora would often do is bring all the kits together in a kind of celebratory form and stick them in one big box. Now this is a big box. This is a huge box. This is a scale extra size box. And looking at it, you've got Dr. Zaius there, who's obviously a orangutan. You've got Cornelius. You've got Zyra. You've got General Ursus, who's the big bad gorilla guy there. And look at that. And inside there, you've got the 4 kits. with their bases and all their accoutrement. So the picture's beautiful. It gives me that Saturday morning TV feel when I look at it. It's got a beautiful orange background, because there was also a cartoon of Planet of the Apes. I don't know if you remember it, but this was the kind of vision of it. So, you know, the box looks great, but it doesn't do the kits justice. The kits inside there are even better on the box. Now that's not generally a thing. Usually the illustration is better than the kits, but in this case the kits are better than the illustration, even though the illustration, well, it's to die for. If I'd have that on the wall in a frame. As you can see, it's still in it. It says, "Those maniacs did it. They really did it." And as you know, in the end of the first movie, you can see Charlton Heston on the beach looking up at the ruined Statue of Liberty, screaming his head off, saying they did it. They actually did it. And he's not talking about the apes, is he? He is, in fact, talking about the human beings, because it was the human beings that blew up the world. So, nice little thing there. Just a bit of memorabilia as well. So, thank you very much for watching. I'm now going to go and do a couple more reviews. There you go. Let my glamorous assistant take that away from me.